Every level of rap wealth explained.
Level 1. Brokies.
The literal bottom of the bottom. This where rap careers technically exist, but dudes are asking for bread every morning. This is the bottom of the rap ladder where artists are active, visible, and still broke. They release music consistently, perform occasionally, and maintain an online presence, yet financially live close to the edge with little to no safety net. This level includes rappers like Famous Dex in his post-peak years, Smoke Perp, Lil Xan, and Kamethazine. None of them are starving, but none of them are stable either. Their liquid net worth typically sits somewhere between $5,000 and $50,000, and that number fluctuates constantly depending on whether shows are coming in or bills are stacking up. At this level, housing is temporary. Most of these rappers are renting small apartments, living with friends, or staying with family when things get tight. Home ownership is completely off the table. There is no real estate portfolio, no long-term assets, and no passive income. If the music slows down, the lifestyle collapses almost immediately. This kid even worked as a street cleaner to pay for rent. Cars at this level are either used, leased, or financed under bad terms. You might see a decent looking vehicle online, but it's rarely owned outright. Payments are high, insurance is expensive, and missing a few months can mean repossession. The car looks like a flex, but financially it's a liability. They flex ice, but who knows which China market they bought it from. Designer clothes are worn sparingly, often resold after photos or bought during brief high points and stretched out over time. The appearance of wealth is carefully curated because the actual funds are thin. Income at this level is inconsistent. Streaming pays very little and shows are unreliable. One decent booking might cover expenses for a short time, but there is no predictability. There are no brand deals, no major publishing checks, and no leverage. Taxes are often an afterthought, which only creates bigger problems later. This tier survives on hope and momentum. Artists here believe the next song, the next look, or the next moment will change everything. Sometimes it does. Most of the time, it doesn't. And when the buzz fades, there's nothing underneath it. Level 1 is loud, flashy, and fragile. It looks like progress from the outside, but financially, it's the weakest position in the entire rap ecosystem. The only way out is consistency, smarter decisions, and luck. And for the few who manage that, the next level finally looks less desperate and more controlled.
Level 2. Alive.
Rappers that finally escape pure survival mode, but that's about as far as it goes. These artists are no longer completely broke, and they're not stressing over every single bill, but they are still far away from anything resembling real wealth. This is the tier where rap starts paying the bills, just not enough to change your life. This level includes rappers like YBN Nahmir, Blockboy JB, Designer, and Rich the Kid in his quieter years. These are artists who've had real chart success, real label backing at some point, and real touring history. Unlike level 1, they can actually rely on music as their primary income. The problem is that the income caps out fast. Liquid net worth at this level usually falls somewhere between $100,000 and $500,000, and that's on a good year. That money is not sitting in the bank untouched. It's constantly moving, covering lifestyle costs, management fees, and maintaining relevance. One slow year or bad contract can cut that number in half quickly. Housing improves slightly here, but ownership is still rare. Most rappers at this level are renting decent apartments, townhomes, or short-term luxury rentals. They might upgrade locations when money is flowing and downgrade quietly when it isn't. Buying a house still feels risky because the income isn't guaranteed enough to commit long-term. Cars at this level look better than level 1, but the structure is the same. Leased luxury vehicles, financed sports cars, and high monthly payments are common. The car finally looks like a real flex, but it's still not owned outright. Miss a few months of income and the entire setup becomes stressful again. Jewelry is more noticeable here. Multiple chains, watches, and rings start showing up, but most of it is still financed or paid off slowly. Liquidating it would help in an emergency, but it wouldn't save them long term. The jewelry represents momentum, not security. What separates level 2 from level 1 is consistency. These rappers can tour nationally, longevity. They get booked regularly. Streaming checks are predictable enough to plan around, but the ceiling is obvious. Without massive hits, ownership, or business moves outside music, the money plateaus. They're comfortable but replaceable. This is also where financial pressure starts shifting. Instead of worrying about survival, these rappers worry about staying relevant. The fear isn't homelessness anymore, it's falling off and sliding backward. That pressure leads to risky decisions, rushed releases, and sometimes bad deals just to stay visible. Level 2 feels like success to outsiders. Fans assume these rappers are rich. In reality, they're living well, but not free. One lawsuit, one label dispute, or one dry year can undo everything. They made it out of the basement, but they're still climbing stairs, not riding elevators.
Level 3. Mid.
You'll say, like, what the f? That's not mid. And rap it is, folks. This is where rap finally becomes a stable career instead of a gamble. These artists are no longer worried about rent, repossessions, or inconsistent months. The money comes in regularly, the lifestyle is sustainable, and for the first time, there's breathing room. But this is also the level where many rappers hit a ceiling they never break through. This tier includes rappers like Whale, Big Sean, Pusha T, and 2 Chainz before his major business expansion. These are artists with longevity, strong catalogs, and loyal fan bases. They might not dominate charts every year, but they are respected and reliable. Liquid net worth at this level typically ranges between $1 and $5 million. This is real money, but it's not endless. It allows comfort, flexibility, and security, but reckless spending can still cause damage. These rappers are wealthy compared to most people, yet they still have to think before making major financial moves. Housing at this level usually includes ownership. Many artists here own at least one home, often a solid property in a major city or a quiet suburban area. It might not be a mansion, but it's paid for or responsibly mortgaged. Real estate becomes less about flexing and more about stability. Cars shift from leases to ownership more often here. These rappers might still lease high-end vehicles, but they also own dependable luxury cars outright. The collection is tasteful rather than excessive. No need to rotate cars every few months just to keep appearances up. Jewelry becomes quieter. Chains are real, paid for, and rarely the centerpiece. Watches hold value. Pieces are investments as much as accessories. There's less urgency to prove success because it's already established. What defines level 3 is sustainability. Touring revenue is consistent. Streaming checks are predictable. Brand deals exist, but they're selective. These rappers can disappear for a year and come back without financial panic. That alone separates them from the lower tiers. However, the ceiling is real. Without massive crossover hits or business expansion, income stays flat. This is where many artists remain for decades, respected but not exponentially growing. They've won stability but not dominance. Level 3 is where rap stops being survival and starts being a profession. And for many, that's enough. But the artists who refuse to stop here are the ones who turn comfort into influence. And that's when the money really changes.
Level 4. Rising.
Level 4 is where rap money stops being fragile and starts looking legitimate. These are artists who are no longer capped by music alone. Their careers have lasted long enough and their decisions have been smart enough that wealth isn't just coming in, it's staying. This is the tier where rappers move from being successful to being genuinely wealthy. This level includes rappers like J. Cole, Future, Lil Wayne, and Travis Scott before his biggest business expansions. These artists are no longer dependent on one hit or one tour cycle. Their catalogs alone generate serious money every year. Liquid net worth at this level generally sits between $10 million and $30 million. That money provides real freedom. These rappers can take time off, turn down bad deals, and invest without risking their lifestyle. Even a bad year doesn't threaten their financial position anymore. Housing at this level is impressive but controlled. Multiple properties are common. Primary homes are large, often custom built and located in high-value areas. Vacation homes start appearing, but they're practical rather than excessive. These are assets, not just flexes. Cars at this level are mostly owned outright. Collections include luxury vehicles, high-end SUVs, and occasionally exotic cars. Leasing still happens, but it's a choice, not a necessity. Maintenance and insurance are non-issues financially. Jewelry becomes understated. Chains and watches are high quality, often custom and fully paid for. There's no need to prove anything. The value is real and liquidation would actually matter if needed. What separates level 4 from level 3 is leverage. These rappers have negotiating power. Labels need them more than they need labels. Touring is optional, not mandatory. Brand partnerships are selective and high-paying. The stress is gone. This is the level where fans stop questioning whether an artist fell off. Longevity becomes the flex. Even without constant chart dominance, the wealth keeps growing. Respect replaces hype. Level 4 is where rap careers officially become success stories. But for the artists who push beyond this, wealth stops being impressive and starts becoming overwhelming.
Level 5. Thriving.
Here is where rap money becomes undeniable. There's no debate, no skepticism, and no what happened to his money conversations anymore. These artists didn't just have successful careers, they turned rap into a long-term wealth engine. At this point, the question isn't whether they're rich, it's how far they can still take it. This level includes rappers like Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Nicki Minaj, and Eminem. These are artists who have dominated multiple eras, maintained relevance, and protected their brands. Their names alone generate money. Liquid net worth at this level typically ranges between 50 million and 250 million. That's cash, investments, and easily accessible assets, not inflated headline numbers. This kind of money changes decision-making entirely. Music is no longer something they need to do, it's something they choose to do. Housing at this level is on another tier. These rappers own multiple high-value properties, including custom mansions in major markets and luxury homes in private areas. Real estate is part of their wealth strategy, not just a lifestyle choice. Property appreciation alone adds millions over time. Cars are fully owned and rotated at will. Collections include high-end luxury vehicles and exotics, but there's restraint. No reckless spending, no forced flexing. These artists don't need to prove anything. The cars are there because they can be, not because they need validation. Jewelry at this level is top tier and fully paid for. Custom pieces, rare watches, and collections that hold or increase value. Nothing is rented, nothing is financed. These are assets that could be liquidated for serious money if needed, although they never need to be. What truly separates level 5 is control. These rappers own masters, publishing, or major stakes in their work. Touring is strategic. Brand deals are massive and selective. Even years without releasing music don't slow the money down significantly. This is the tier most rappers dream of but never reach. Fame is stable, wealth is secure, influence is permanent, and yet as impressive as this level is, it still isn't the top, because above this tier are artists who stopped thinking like rappers entirely and started thinking like moguls.
Level 6. Moguls.
At this point, rap wealth stops being about albums, tours, or chart positions and starts being about infrastructure. These artists didn't just earn money from music. They used music as leverage to build systems that generate wealth whether they drop a song or not. At this point, rap is no longer the engine, it's the launch pad. This level includes rappers like Kanye West, Pharrell Williams, and Birdman. Now you'd say Kanye was so filthy rich before, but yeah, he's lost a lot. That's why he's in this level. These are artists who fundamentally changed how rappers think about money. They didn't just get paid, they built ownership. Liquid net worth at this level usually sits between 200 million and 600 million, depending on market conditions and business stakes. The key difference here is diversification. Music royalties are just one stream among many, and definitely not the biggest one. Equity stakes, catalog ownership, tech investments, fashion, alcohol brands, and corporate partnerships all stacked together. Housing at this level looks less like homes and more like estates. Multiple mansions across different states, sometimes different countries, fully staffed and professionally managed. These properties are often held through LLCs and trusts, making them both lifestyle assets and wealth vehicles. At this level, transportation itself becomes a clear marker of separation. Commercial flights are no longer part of the equation. Artists in this tier regularly move by private jet, not as a flex, but as a necessity. Schedules are too tight, security risks are too high, and time is too valuable. Jets are either owned outright, co-owned through holding companies, or maintained via long-term charter agreements that still cost millions annually. The point isn't luxury, it's control. No delays, no terminals, no compromises. For shorter distances, helicopters fill the gap. City-to-city hops, event landings, and emergency travel become routine. These aren't toys, they're logistical tools used to avoid traffic, crowds, crowds and exposure. Maintenance, pilots, hangars, and insurance are all handled quietly because at this level, convenience outweighs spectacle. And then there are yachts, not rented party boats where you go for barbecue in the summer, but fully staffed, multi-million-dollar vessels used for extended travel, private meetings, and long stretches away from public life. Crews handle everything. Routes are planned in advance. These yachts function more like mobile estates than vacations. This is where wealth becomes operational. Movement is no longer reactive, it's engineered, and once transportation reaches this level, it's clear these artists are no longer playing the same game as anyone below them. Jewelry is almost an afterthought at this level. Pieces are museum quality, historically valuable, and fully insured, but they're worn sparingly. At this stage, wealth is quiet because it doesn't need to announce itself. What truly defines level 6 is power. These artists can move markets. A business decision from them affects hundreds of employees, not just their inner circle. They negotiate directly with corporations, not intermediaries. Failure doesn't mean starting over, it means restructuring. This is also where loyalty kicks in from fans. Even when music output slows or stops, respect remains. Their legacy is cemented. Their influence outgrows their discography. They are no longer just rappers, they're institutions. Most artists never even see this level up close. It requires timing, intelligence, risk tolerance, and ownership at a scale that few achieve. And yet, even this level isn't the ceiling, because above mogul status is something even rarer, wealth so large that rap becomes a footnote in the story.
Level 7. Untouchable.
Level 7 is where rap wealth stops being measured like entertainment money and starts behaving like global capital. This is the point where artists are no longer compared to other rappers. They're compared to CEOs, financiers, and legacy families. The scale is so large that even massive expenses barely register, and the lifestyle operates on an entirely different set of rules. This level includes artists like Jay-Z, Rihanna, and Dr. Dre. While their paths are different, the outcome is similar. Wealth so large that music becomes a background detail. Liquid net worth at this level reaches the billionaire status, and in some cases crosses the multi-billionaire line depending on asset valuation. What makes this level shocking isn't just the number, it's how the money behaves. Income no longer depends on releases, tours, or even public visibility. Entire years can pass without dropping music, and wealth still grows. Cars at this level are no longer collections for show. They are fleets curated for function, rarity, and security. Multi-million-dollar hypercars sit alongside armored luxury SUVs and chauffeur-driven sedans. Some vehicles are customized directly through manufacturers, never appearing in public catalogs. Others are stored permanently, treated as appreciating assets rather than transportation. Selling a car isn't a decision, it's an accounting move. Private jets are standard operating equipment. These artists either own aircraft outright or control them through holding companies. Jets are configured as flying offices with secure communications, sleeping quarters, and staff on board. Travel is dictated by convenience and discretion, not cost. Airports, terminals, and delays no longer exist in their world. Yachts push the separation even further. These little millionaire yachts, they are floating estates worth tens or hundreds of millions, staffed full-time and capable of long-range travel. Meetings happen on board. Entire summers disappear at sea. Privacy becomes absolute. When artists at this level want to vanish, they don't go quiet, they go offshore. Housing stops being relatable entirely. Multiple estates across different countries. Primary residences resemble private resorts, complete with security teams, staff housing, and infrastructure comparable to luxury hotels. These properties are rarely owned personally. They're held through trusts, LLCs, and asset protection structures designed for generational preservation. Homes are no longer places to live. They are strategic holdings. Dining reflects the same shift. Level 7 artists don't just eat at expensive restaurants. They are known personally by owners and chefs. Michelin-starred spots, private dining rooms, invite-only locations, and restaurants closed entirely for private events become routine. Meals double as meetings. Privacy is expected, not requested. Political and corporate proximity becomes unavoidable at this level. These artists attend fundraisers, charity galas, and closed-door events alongside heads of state, corporate executives, and institutional investors. They aren't activists in the traditional sense, but their presence alone signals influence. Phone calls get returned, doors open quickly, access becomes currency. These connections aren't about ideology, they're about access. Phone calls get returned immediately. Regulatory conversations happen quietly. Advisors with government backgrounds sit on their boards or manage their foundations. When these artists speak publicly, it's covered not as celebrity news, but as economic or cultural impact. At this level, rap fame translates into institutional relevance. They're no longer reacting to systems. They're adjacent to the people who shape them. What separates level 7 from every level below it is that money stops feeling personal. Wealth becomes structural. Losses don't threaten stability. Public controversy doesn't automatically translate into financial collapse. Entire teams exist solely to manage reputation, assets, and risk. This is where rap stops being the story. Music might have been the entry point, but it's no longer the explanation. These artists didn't just win the rap game, they exited it entirely and entered a world most people will never even see. At this level, wealth isn't loud, it's quiet, insulated, and permanent. And once you reach this point, there's no flex left to prove because the power speaks for itself. So that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments which level you'd want to reach in life. But all I want to say is work hard and you'll get it, bro. With that said, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, hit the like button, click on the cards displayed on your screen to see more awesome videos, and don't miss out on the next releases. See ya.